eyes were reddish, and it was getting close to 4 a.m. And he wasn't feeling okay. And we also listened to music, but not loudly. Then he said, "Oh, make it more loud, make it more loud." But it was 4 a.m. I said, I think my neighbors and my roommates are sleeping. If you like, you can let's meet tomorrow. So as a, I think Muslim Turkish, that was very interesting experience, even just my, first year in the US. But what was more, I think, shocking, another shocking experience was to go to a mosque in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was born and grew up as a Muslim in Turkey. And so I went to this Islamic center in Cincinnati, but you may be shocked to hear this. I went inside this mosque, and the first impression I had was, oh my gosh, these guys look like terrorists. Can you believe that? As a Muslim from Turkey and born and grew up as a Muslim, that's what I said. Then I thought, why I have this feeling, in my first visit, just first step to this mosque. And yeah, basically it was my own stereotype or what the media portrayed. If you have dark skin, if you have beard, then you are potential terrorists. And that moment, I told myself I cannot judge anyone who is not Muslim, because that's what I felt as a Muslim from Turkey and as a Muslim who was born and grew up in Turkey. And that moment I told myself, I first need to educate myself and help others to learn more about Islam, and I should be also, open to learn about other religions. And that was very, shocking. And I still remember that day. I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys look like terrorists. But I'm saying this for people that share the same religion with me. So that was kind of upsetting, but maybe a turning point in my life to realize the importance of interfaith dialogue. And another experience is we were driving to Texas and just stopped by a gas station. No, actually outside Walmart. We just parked our car and wanted to pray, but at a distant corner where nobody saw us, we thought. Then a police cab came, and I was in the middle of my prayer, and this police officer asked me 3 times what I was doing. And I did not respond, because if I had responded, I would have interrupted my prayer, so I had to restart. I think I was not shy back then. I just kept praying. In 2 3 minutes, I was done, and I saw him driving away, but I waved at him. He came back. He came back. He drove back, and I said, "I'm sorry, I was praying, so I couldn't, interrupt, and I couldn't answer your questions." And he said, "No, I'm sorry. I realized that you were praying." So even, probably just someone saw me praying and called the police. I don't know. I cannot be sure, but uh, sometimes, yeah, I had, as I told at the beginning of my story, I had that fear. What if someone saws me praying and judge me that, or tell me that I'm doing what terrorists do on TV. But my 14 year in the US has more positive experience than negative, actually. Those are the probably only 3 stories that I can share. And they were, especially the mosque visit was also a wake-up call for me, I think, in my interfaith work especially. But after the elections 4 years ago, uh, some people were upset, definitely. Some people were okay, but the story I want to share is I had a friend who is a practicing Muslim who is wearing a headscarf, and she said she went to a market, and an American woman just approached her and said, we want you in our country. And she asked if she can hug my friend. And this is just an unknown person, just see a Muslim woman, an American woman, just saw a Muslim woman with headscarf and just wanted to show that she is accepted in this country. I think that's what we usually that's what we have experienced in the US. I'm gonna share a few slides now. I guess you are able to see my screen, right? Yeah. Uh, by the way, my name I have an interfaith name, by the way. Eyyup translates as Job. Here are my nicknames: Turkish Shack, Baby Shack, Shaquille O'Neal, and my favorite team is now Golden State. Uh, Detail, kind of my favorite dessert here is pecan pie. My friends make this on my birthday and just leaves at our door. Championship photo of my favorite team from 2 years ago. I'm not talking about last year because we lost it, but don't worry. So, I think in the US, or in what I realized in the US, that I also come from a nationalist kind of country that, in Turkey we were thought Turks are the kind of superior nation in the world. But when I took a philosophy class here in the US, I also learned about American ethnocentrism. And I had Russian friends, Canadian friends, Arab friends, and I realized every culture kind of have this superiority feeling, like who is superior over another. But and we see that at this maybe comparison at sports. My favorite basketball player is now Stephen Curry. Someone else may say Kevin Durant, and another person will say LeBron James, and we can have a long debate and conversation about it. But religions or ethnic groups are different. We cannot claim superiority because we are Muslim, Christian, or Arab, or white, or black. So this was another lesson for me from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And wherever you are, you can also read with me, but I'm going to read it loudly. All mankind is from Adam and Eve. An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, nor does a non-Arab have any superiority over an Arab. A white has no superiority over a black, nor does a black have any superiority over a white. None have any superiority over another except by piety and good action. And here you see a mosque and a church next to each other in Turkey. That's kind of an environment I grew up, and I hope nowadays we will have more acceptance in Turkey, in the US, and in the world. But I just want to kind of share this positive image here. And here is another picture I want to share. This picture was taken about 4 years ago uh, at an Interfaith Ramadan dinner at a Methodist church here. Geneva, you might remember Dr. Trees, Emmanuel Cleaver's son's church, this is. And why I'm sharing this picture, I realized, kids were just running around and they were playing with one another, and they were not aware they were from, other religions. They practice another religion, or, they are different, races. So I just want to ask them, hey, why don't you just hug each other and let's take a picture? And these kids are now, this was about 4 or 5 years ago, these kids are now grown, and they are even now taking active role in our interfaith events now. So to me, this interfaith dialogue starts when you are a child. And here's another picture I want to share that reflects the diversity in the US. We realize, in the US, when we ask a question, usually the answer is, it depends, right? We mostly don't have a definite answer always, because it depends on different cultures, ethnic groups, rules, laws, whatever. And this single picture portrait shows the diversity in the US. If you realize, different skin colors, different even eye colors, and during COVID-19. an American mask on our mouth. And this was drawn, this is a digital art illustration drawn by a local Muslim artist and who is undergrad student actually here at UMKC, University of Missouri, Kansas City. And diversity has been something that I always, keep in mind, especially in the Holy Book of Quran. And I think we can find similar verses in other holy books. But this verse I want to share from the Quran. And let's read together, please. If God had so willed, he would surely have made you a single community. But he willed it otherwise, in order to test you by what he granted to you. Buy then with one another in doing good works. Quran 5:48. And here's another one. O humankind, surely we have created you from a single pair of male and female and made you into tribes and families so that you may know one another. Surely the noblest, most honorable of you in God's sight is the one best in piety, righteousness, and reverence for God. And these verses have been kind of a guidance for me, and US is actually, I think, one of the best, if not number one country that gives you this opportunity where you meet with people from different countries, different ethnic groups, different religions. So I sometimes say, we don't need to go to another country. They're all here. We have the representation in the US. So I, as a Muslim, I am very happy and feel blessed and fortunate to be able to live in the United States because it's a country where I can make my dream come true. And to express my love for the US, I came up with these words. And again, let's read this together. US can be pronounced us if you eliminate the dots. Yes, that's what the US meant to me, us. It was not you, them, or and me, but us, US, without dots. Or you could use those dots to connect people, just connect the dots. And again, immigration is another issue, right? Immigration, immigrants, refugees, something we talk, and I also came up with these words. We are all immigrants in this world. We used to live in paradise. Our ancestors are Adam and Eve. So none of us are actually residents here. We may accept this fact after we go back to paradise, and I hope we will reunite there. And thank you so much for listening to me. Your first step to join this event is more important than Neil Armstrong's first step to the moon, as you make your first step to create peace in the world. uh, I can share the poem now, Geneva, or later. Uh, I
Yeah,
okay,
it's up to you. Go for it.
okay. I have a
Plug your book.
uh, so as Geneva read at the beginning, I have a book called with the title "Global Warming of Hearts," which is my dream to accomplish in this world. But also, I am working on my second book, which will be a poetry book. I am not colorblind, with the title "I am not colorblind." This colorblind term was also thought in our country, but as a positive expression. I am not colorblind was taught as a very positive. So, I was one of those who was also using this. I am not colorblind. I thought I was saying something good. But when I interacted with people from, other groups, especially ethnic groups, I realized this is not the best term to use. And also, why don't we appreciate the different colors and instead just saying colorblind? Actually, I was having a discussion with a professor from Ori Soltes, who is a Jewish professor at Georgetown University, and he said, "Let's be colorblind, but in law system." And I like that. In judicial system, let's be colorblind. Yes, that might be something we can be proud of. Let's be colorblind to approach everyone, to treat everyone equally. If that's what we mean with colorblind, I think we may be okay with that. So anyway, Uh, about 7 years ago, you might remember that in Turkey or Syria, Syria had a civil war, and unfortunately, it's been still going on. And we had a lot of refugees from Syria. And until they started coming to the US, coming to Turkey, I was also just watching, on news about refugees on TV, and I was, I think, on the same page with people who said, why are these people coming illegally? Then I realized, there is no other way. Their government didn't allow them to leave their country freely, so they had to end up in Turkey. And in the building where my parents live in Istanbul, there are three Syrian families living in one apartment building. Say like two bedroom, three families, and they did not have shoes. Sorry, they were wearing shoes at home. Normally in Turkish culture, people don't wear shoes, mostly in their home. So that was a little bit surprising. But then we realized they did not really have much furniture in their home. No carpet, no rug, nothing almost. That's why they were wearing shoes. So my mom shared the story, and in the summer, maybe 6, 7 years ago, I was there, and I realized they knocked at our door and they asked for a pot. So when they had guests, they didn't even have a pot to cook a meal for their guests. And one thing that people kind of overlook is that although they are Muslims, we speak a different language. We speak Turkish, they speak Arabic. So how they communicated was just sign language, body language, no real words. I'm like, wow, that's, I was not aware the challenges they were going through. So anyway, I came up with this story about refugees, but that was kind of a background story about it. So this poem is, my name is Refugee 2. Refugee 2. What is that? I know you don't care about what my name is, so I'm calling myself number 2. I never expect to I never expect you to look up to me, but I hope that you will never look down on me. I never thought you will play with me, but I dreamed that you would not make fun of me. I will pray for a day we can have fun together and nobody will make fun of me. I was the businesswoman, I was the CEO, I was the teacher yesterday. Today you call me R2. Would you call me guest if I come to your country one day? As I am a human being and I have feelings. Would you share your food and tea with me instead of giving or donating it to me? Would you invite me to your home for dinner instead of giving the leftovers to me? Yes, I'm a refugee and I am seeking refuge from evil thoughts and unkind words. Thank you so much again for listening to me. Mhm.
Thank you so much. So if you're done, I'm gonna just open it up the floor
Yeah,
for Q&A. Is that okay?
yeah,
So does
yes,
anyone have any questions or comments that they would like to ask or share? You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Geneva. Hi, Geneva. Hey, brother Ayyub. Assalamu
Hey,
alaikum.
Fatima, how are you?
Wa
Good.
alaikum salam. Hello.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Very interesting, very nice. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm not, you are local here for, do you live in Cincinnati?
Kansas City actually now.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
used to live in Cincinnati.
Yeah, because I heard you talking about the Islamic Center. I am a previous board member at the Islamic
Oh,
Center.
oh,
Yeah,
uh,
so just for the record, I mean, what you said, yeah, I can see like your perspective or the stereotypes about like what media portrays people who are dark with dark skin, having beards, they are terrorists. Um the Islamic Center for the one here in Westchester, the president, the board of the president is women, is lady,
oh,
and actually, yeah, this is, I mean, it's not like common. among like
Right.
in most religions, not just Islam. And actually it's very moderate, and like we have many events,
Right.
like we reach out to the larger community. um, the people, like the way they like stereotype Muslims as being like you know, because of the beard or because of the dark skin or because they are terrorists. It's just like this is, as you said, it's from the media.
Yeah.
Like we encourage, yeah, the way to overcome this is to like open up to each other and have a dialogue, like the way you said it. And actually we're doing a lot of this. We have a monthly open house at the Islamic Center. When people come, yeah, like open invitation year around. Of course, now it's not going on, but year around when people come just to tour the campus, the mosque, and listen to the imam talking. And so just like for the people who are here attending this event, that's like in a way to get to know Muslims and get to understand like the true religion. It's to go and visit and see and listen to the people who practice the religion, not just
Exactly.
relying on the information on the media and or what the people, you know what I mean.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. You know, you made a great point. Sometimes people have questions about Islam, but they ask those questions to non-Muslims or, other people.
Yeah,
They,
yep.
let's ask her why she was wearing headscarf or, praying 5 times a day instead of making up stories.
Yeah,
Yeah,
usually people fear things that they don't know, you
exactly.
know. Yeah, and the way to break these barriers and the way to understand each other is like to ask a question and
Yeah,
to get to know each other by having a productive, good dialogue, like and
right.
you don't just like relay in the information on the media or the all the stereotypes and information that you got from back then or people who do not know. So just, yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately, it's a tough, hard time now for Muslims here in America, as many other minority. But like the only way we can do it is to educate each other.
All
This
right.
is, yep.
I would just like to thank you for sharing everything. And I agree with that. The woman who just spoke, I don't see her name. I've been up to that mosque, and they had an education thing, for us. And it's a beautiful mosque, and it was really nice. And I know they do a lot of things to get the community in there. I do have one question. Did
Sure.
they I'm pretty sure that they participated in the Festival of Faiths.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I thought
Yeah.
so.
Like,
I thought
yeah,
so.
the past
Yeah,
2 years, yep, we are
it's been
very
2
like
years. Yeah,
sponsors. We have exhibit there and we
yeah,
sponsor the event too.
yes.
So
Oh, you do?
actually,
Okay,
yeah, we
I
have a
thought so.
committee, like yeah, a reach out committee. Like
Yeah.
just this is the responsibility of the committee that participate in different events and host different tours and workshops and
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and when I was there, they gave us a tour of the mosque on the inside. Can you? May I ask you a question? I don't want to offend anyone. Why is it that the women are upstairs, like in a balcony, and only the men are down on the carpets? The women are upstairs on that balcony. You're smiling. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Is there a reason? Yeah. And then
Brother
I'll let
Eyyup,
you
you
go.
wanna? I think we have both. We have. Let me say what I like.
Yeah, yeah, please go
According,
ahead.
yeah, and then your point of
Yeah,
view. We need to listen to you.
sure.
Okay, Islam is a religion of modesty. Okay, and
Okay.
people, Muslims, are ordered in Islam to be modest, either men and women, both. Okay, and when it comes to the prayer, the way Muslims pray is different. We do a lot of movement. We stand up, we kneel down, we
Right.
prostrate all the way on the ground. So to eliminate the distraction during the prayer, okay?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
even during the Prophet, use it to like pray behind the man. So this way, the men will have they will concentrate in their prayer, nothing. Because as I told you, we do a lot of movement. It's not like we sit in a chair or we sit in a ground
No.
and just recite some verses. We just like, we prostrate all the way. And this way that we keep we keep the distance. So the women or men, they won't be distracted during their prayer.
Okay,
This
well, I know other religions, the Orthodox, sometimes it's all the men are on one side and the women are on the other side. And my Orthodox church was much more liberal, and we didn't do it that way. That makes sense with the prostrate, because we would do that too.
You know, I think it is
I
also like
understand.
different perspectives. Say like we don't see it as like being a liberal or conservative thing, you know.
No, but I'm just trying to get my idea out there.
Sure,
I don't always find my words, but no, I understand the modesty. In fact,
sometimes I say women look down on men when they're on the balcony.
Oh, yeah,
So I should be the one who is offended.
well,
Very good.
they can't
You
just
know
see
your
a
place.
few, they got a whole room to choose from. So who's getting distracted? The men or the women? Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Yeah.
I'm tired of being looked down on by a woman. Come on.
Well, how
But
tall
I
are you?
think that's one of the things about the Muslim tradition that people who are non-Muslim will look at and say, look how oppressed the women are. You know, they are not allowed to pray and on the floor. But when you explain the movements of prayer, it makes it very easy to understand why the women and the men are separated. So it's one of those prejudices that develops out of a lack of understanding and knowledge.
Yep. It's all about how things are perceived.
Exactly.
People perceive things from their own background knowledge. Wouldn't it be great if media was just they're awful? But yeah, that's one other thing I wanted to say too. You mentioned ask questions and have dialogues. It's about relationships just with people.
Exactly.
You know, that's I think that's what I kind of heard you saying with the dialogue. It's about the relationships that we have. Okay, I'm gonna let someone else talk. Yeah.
My first year in the US again, I was very shy and even did not know that I don't know much about Islam, my own faith. So who helped me learn about my faith, Islam, was actually a Jewish atheist professor. So how so? So I took a class from him. It has nothing to do with religion. One day he came to me and said, we don't know anything about Islam. Could you make a presentation? And I am like, I don't know either. Then I said yes, but I said if my classmates just write down the questions, I'll be happy to do some research and come back and make a presentation. And actually, Islamic Center helped me also. I sent questions to them, but I also read a lot of books and did my own research. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am realizing that I don't know much about Islam either. Because, I was born and grew up in Istanbul, in Turkey. And, the good thing in the US, people are encouraged to ask questions. But we don't really ask questions, in Turkey at least. I don't want to make a big generalization, but we were shy to ask questions about religion. So that presentation really helped me to open my eyes and kind of start educating myself.
Wow.
Ellen has a question, but I think you are muted, Ellen. Yeah.
So I was going to say it's very appropriate that you learned about Islam from a Jewish atheist, because Mohammed learned a lot about monotheism from the rabbis who lived in Medina and Mecca. You're in good company.
That's true. Oh man, yeah.
Very, very interesting. What you said is very right. Like I say the same thing. I learned more about Islam when I came here to America than I used to know when I was there back home. just like we are ethnocentric, all the people, as you mentioned in your presentation, people are so ethnocentric. You are just so familiar with your own like environment and culture, and you feel that's it. This is the standards, and everybody like you, like and speak your language. That's it. Those are the normal. Everything other cultures, people practice their way and do religion different way. Like it's not normal. You are because you are not familiar with. And Islam is a religion. A lot of people from different races, different cultures, speak different languages are Muslims. So Islam is way larger, wider. At the Islamic Center, we have in the gym flags of the people who are attend the mosque and who are like Muslims from around the world. We have more than 40 flags.
Wow.
Means people from more than 40 countries. So, and those, they speak different languages, they practice different cultures.
Eyyup, a lot of people have questions about the difference between Sunni and Shia. And that too has become very political, that there's religious background to that. Can you address that for people who may not be familiar with that and just see it more in the political than in the religious realm?
I think that's another question that is asked, and Sunni and Shia are the biggest or largest two groups in Islam, and I would say actually the general belief, practicing, believing in oneness of God, believing in Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, prayers, and more or less are pretty similar. And what we see is, the division or the separate groups started, centuries ago. And one group of kind of companions or people, wanted a certain person, Ali, wanted to be the Caliph after Prophet Muhammad, and other groups wanted someone else to be the Caliph. Then it started more as a political division. But I think in some countries, especially Iran, some parts of Iraq, Azerbaijan, have Shia, Mosque. As a person from Turkey, you remember Ahmadinejad, the former president of Iran. The news said, it's a big step that Ahmadinejad, the Shia leader, was coming to Turkey. Honestly, most Turkish people did not understand why it was a big step, because we were not aware, even as Muslims, Shias and Sunnis are different groups. We even didn't know the difference, honestly. So in practical world, at least I don't know, I didn't know, or I don't know what the difference in real life. But again, I think unfortunately there's political divisiveness in those countries, because say, I am very active at the Dialogue Institute here, and Geneva, you might remember. Oh, actually, Alan, you know them. Sofia Khan and Mahnaz Shabir. One of them is Shia, and I didn't know that. We always ask her to speak at our events. Then someone said, "Oh, she is Shia." Okay, no problem. Sofia is Sunni, but we even don't think about it honestly. Oh, Mahnaz is Shia, should we not invite her? Or this is Sunni, should we invite her? But yeah, but again, I think even Muslims actually need more education on that issue. Because I don't want to just paint a very positive picture always, but say I went to a restaurant, here the local restaurant, and the owner is a Muslim, and he asked what my sect is, Sunni or Shia. And I don't really talking about it. I know what I am, but why a restaurant owner wants to know if I am Sunni or Shia. I just asked if I can pray there. That was my question. Thank you. Oh, there's a question here, Geneva. Should I go ahead and, I don't know if you would like to address this, and it's okay with me if you don't. I can read the question if you like. I don't know if you would like to address this question, and it's okay with me if you don't. How do you feel about the decision of Turkish government to return Hagia Sophia in Istanbul to functioning as a mosque? Again, if you actually, this is a great question and timely question that, and just I posted my opinion about this on Facebook, but and I will quote a Bosnian friend who shared her, comments. She said, Turkey has enough number of mosques already. So let Hagia Sophia stay as a museum. And what I see is if my level of religiosity or if my religion will make other people sad, I don't want to practice that part. So what I mean, Hagia Sophia, converting it to a mosque will upset or is upsetting a lot of Christians, right? And it is not a good interfaith message. So I would always want it to be as a museum now. Or actually another idea was open it on Fridays for Muslims to pray and on Sundays for Christians to pray. And I think I also like that idea, museum or that option, because, and unfortunately, politics is everywhere. And I remember people from my village, my parents' village, were coming to Istanbul to do fundraising to build mosques in their village. But those people were not praying, were not going to mosques. So for them, hey, let's build a mosque, but let someone else pray there. We don't want to pray. We are lazy to pray. So I would be for Hagia Sophia to remain as a museum, because now it's definitely a political decision, unfortunately, to increase the votes of the current government. So I would be for Hagia Sophia to remain as a museum, or again Friday Sunday option.
If I may add to that, I am also from Turkey. I agree with the thought that it's a political decision. The current administration sees itself as the continuation of the Ottomans. So if I may summarize very briefly this history of the Turkish Republic, when Ottomans fell, there was a struggle to gain independence, and the founder of the republic, known as Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, established a secular state and severed the religion from public sphere. So and a lot of the people with religious sensitivities see this as alienating, and they think that their ties to their history should have been preserved. And so one of the icons of this is the conversion of Hagia Sophia from being a mosque to turning it into a museum. They say they see this as an activity among all other things that preserves the secular nature of the country. And so when you convert it back to a museum, it is fulfilling the wish of what Turks call conqueror of Istanbul, it was his decision to convert it to a mosque. And I also agree that, because it was the cathedral originally, that it has to be shared. Actually, I think it was wrong of Turks to convert it to a mosque originally. It has to be kept as a church. But for centuries it has been a mosque. And what do you do with it now? I think maintaining it, this is my personal view now, maintaining it as a museum when it was built as a place of worship is not right. So it has to be a place of worship, as Eyyup said, you know, Sundays Christians, Fridays Muslims. But the unfortunate thing is that during the Ottoman Empire, there were many minorities, many people of Christian background, and so you had a congregation, Christian congregation, to fill Hagia Sophia. But now there are so few of them left.
Mm-hmm.
And the other problem is that I don't think, you know, we can advocate mutual use of the place as a place of worship.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the Turkish nation is ready for such an idea. So they would
Yeah, great comments. I would recommend a professor from Rice University. I put his name on the chat box, Dr. Craig Considine. He has amazing talks and books about Islam and Christianity. And if you're a social media person, he is active on all social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever you may think. Say, as a Muslim who, you know, try to practice my faith, if I go back to Turkey, I don't think I would go to Hagia Sophia to make one of my daily prayer, because it would hurt my Christian friends, and I don't want to be part of that hurting process. And I am saying this as a person who tried to make his 5-time daily prayers. And yeah, Dr. Craig Considine is a professor that you might follow. He's a social media guy, but also a professor at Rice University. And he also has great ideas about this Hagia Sophia, and he always posts things about current issues, say like racism, you know, and you know, this Hagia Sophia. And I met him through social media. Actually, we had him as a speaker at one of our events, and he said he spends 1 hour on each of his social media posts. So he really works hard on just post some one thing. So it's very creative. You may want to follow him. Another question? I mean, I'm enjoying this. This is a great discussion. Mark, good to see you. Mark Rich, Geneva, do you know Mark Rich? I don't know. He used to be in Lawrence, a pastor, and now I'm seeing him in my audience. Ohio, which city are you at, Mark?
Well, right now, actually, it's great to see you too. My wife and I are working in Tanzania at a Lutheran university there. We're on the faculty. So, of course, in East Africa, there's a big mixture of Christians and Muslims. One of my students is writing a thesis right now about being Christian in a majority Muslim area of Tanzania. So this is a common issue going on there. And all of our students who are pastors or going to be pastors, all of them know people who are Muslim, or most of them have family members who are Muslim as well. So it's a very, very interesting place to be talking about this issue, you know, to deal with this issue. And I also really appreciate your very gracious comment, that idea about the use of the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. That had not occurred to me. I'm actually right now in Columbus because we're at home because of the coronavirus, mm-hmm. and we're trying to teach online to our master's mm-hmm. students back in Tanzania. So that's where things are now. But this came across my social media somehow, and I thought, I got to do this.
Wow!
That's wonderful to see you.
Great to see. It's been maybe 5, 6, 7 years. I don't know how long.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Another question, maybe?
Does anyone else have another question? You can unmute yourself. You still have a couple more minutes.
Well, if no questions, maybe a few things to improvise is, I love the saying, love is a verb. So let's take action to show our love, because there are people who are waiting to hear that they are loved in this world. No matter they are Muslims, Christians, blacks, whites, but it just makes people happy to hear that I love you. So let's say I love you to everyone who is watching us. And let's take action to spread this word of message of peace. That because this idea of exclusion or discrimination is also something that we are, I think, all afraid of. We don't want to hear that some people don't love us, but let's love them, love everyone unconditionally, not because we love them, they love us, they need to love us, but just love them unconditionally. And sometimes, a cup of coffee is the excuse to make a friend. And during, especially talking about the current situation, instead of just waiting, hey, maybe in 6 months, no corona, so we can come together. No. And I like people who says physical distancing instead of social distancing, because see, we are socializing in a virtual world. And as Dialogue Institute of Kansas City, we started Zoom Cafe. Zoom Cafe, what is that? So, just with our friends at a very informal level, say, I'm having coffee with Geneva. She's in Ohio. I'm here. I have my coffee here. She has there. And we just have a conversation for maybe 30, 40 minutes or whatever. But especially during this time, it's so special because it's very risky to get together in person. I think we are kind of on the same page with this. But instead of getting bored and feeling stuck at home, we can be more creative. I personally had Zoom coffee with my friends in San Antonio, Texas, in Georgia, Atlanta, and as like the friend from San Antonio, I have not seen her for 10 years. So I'm like, why did I not think about having, a virtual coffee until just last week? But now I think it's a time to be more creative. It's a time to say hi to our friends virtually and socially. So yeah, I hope we can practice that. And yeah, just make everyone feel that they are accepted. Saying bad words, saying negative words do not help to change anyone. Love can change the world. Acceptance can change the world. So let's love and accept everyone and respect whatever people choose and their lifestyle and religion and everything else. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It looks like there's another question in the chat. I don't know if you wanna take that one.
Turkish festival? Geneva? There is another one. Oh, sorry.
Camp.
Uyghur camps, the campus that is forcibly or no, a lot of. Oh yeah, this is a great question. I just see this question. Yeah, unfortunately, Uyghur Muslims, Uyghur Turks are under great oppression by Chinese governments. And there are different stats, but the recent stat that I heard was about over 1 million Uyghur Muslims in China are in a way concentration camps. And unfortunately, they are being raped, they are being tortured in China. And Uyghur Turks, also known as East Turkestan. East Turkestan is not the official name accepted by Chinese government, but or Xinjiang. I think Chinese people or Chinese government call it Xinjiang, but Uyghur people, Uyghur Muslims call it East Turkestan. And what it's a horrible story. And a few weeks ago, we celebrated the World Refugee Day, and we had a speaker, an Uyghur Muslim speaker, who is actually a professor at Harvard University. This was a great kind of way to think for me. If people are given chance, they can be a professor at Ivy League colleges in the US, right? some Uyghur Muslims are in concentration camps in China, and another Uyghur Muslim is a professor at Harvard University. And what she was sharing is unfortunately is the same as what we hear slightly on the media. And it's not, I think, getting much coverage, but still we get a little bit information. But it is true, a former KU student, University of Kansas student, was also kept in a Chinese prison for 1.5 years. The reason was he just wanted to open a language course in Uyghur language. That was his so-called crime. So their kids, the families are separated, their kids are taken away from Uyghur Muslims. So it is sad to see that. I don't have a list of companies that are using Uyghurs for forced labor. That's another question. Unfortunately, I don't, but I can ask my Uyghur Muslim friends. And someone is asking me to remind the Turkish food festivals at the Dialogue Institute, Kansas City. We used to have it almost once a month, like every month. 2 years ago, every month. Last year, 6 times a year. This year, again, Corona hit us as well, so we are not, unfortunately, having any food fest at this moment. But if things are cleared, we will go back to our routine schedule and have more food fests. Yeah. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Did anyone have any final questions, comments, or thoughts?
I just would like to thank you and thank the speaker and everyone for their good questions and for the speaker giving us this time. And I'm going to check out your new book. Is it come out next week? When does it come out?
Probably it will take about 2 months.
Oh, 2 more months. Okay. Thank you so much, and good luck with all your work. You're a great
His
guy.
other book is already out, though.
Yeah.
The first book is already out there, Global Warming of Hearts. Second book is
Global Warming for All Hearts.
No, all hearts. Global Warming of Hearts. I can put it here.
What's the name of your, I have it, I just can't see it right now, your book about the refugee stories?
Actually, it will be in my poetry book. The poetry about refugees will be in my poetry book, which is upcoming, and the title will be I Am Not Colorblind.
So I can't see your book. I know I bought it, but you have the stories of refugees.
That is Global Warming of Hearts.
Okay.
Yes,
Global Warming All Hearts. It's very good because it
tells stories of refugees here in America. So it personifies the experience. Yeah. So
I have someone I can ask about it too.
Is your wife still smiling at you across the table?
She has her own thing. She's on another Zoom call.
Well, she is lovely, and you are always blissful. I love it that you're married.
Finally, after 35 years.
And you're blushing.
I met her October 26th, and we got married on January 4th. So 2.5 months took, So people say, oh, it's a very quick decision, but I say 35 years plus 2.5 months.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
you, Eyyup.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thank you, Geneva.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Eyyup. Very nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, Eyyup. I'm so grateful. I think you have sparked joy among all the participants. So it's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay, you guys have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.